Hey everyone, it is Kai again. It is Stream Tuesdays. Sorry if I do sound a bit low energy in these past two videos because recently had to do some surgery. Small surgery, nothing serious, but it just means that I am recovering. So I sound a bit dead, right? But first, yeah, so Stream Tuesdays, they basically revealed everything in Bermuda Triangle. So nothing really much to talk about. So today we'll do it a bit different. Start off with the stream, I'll talk about the most interesting stuff. Then I will talk a bit about how Bermuda might impact the metagame, my speculations, and basically just what is good, what might be good, and what is probably not good. So first off, let's start off with the most interesting information they revealed this stream, and that is next week they will be revealing what Spectral Duke Dragon does in overall 3 cards, so we can expect 2 Vortimers on that. So yeah, that's kind of weird, because you know, we're going, what happened to this week's stream? And the reality is that this week's stream really didn't have anything, because they revealed everything already, all the PRs they also revealed before. So yeah, there wasn't much to reveal, so yeah, this is the best news. We see Spectral Duke Dragon next week, but they did reveal one more card, and that was Betty, and this is a Highlander support, Popple Empathy Betty. Weird name. When placed, reveal 7 cards from the top of your deck, and if all of the normal units revealed have different card names, put up to 1 card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you put a card, put up to 1 of the revealed cards into your hand and shuffle your deck. So this basically makes Highlander more consistent. It is like a kind of a top 7 search for anything you want. But the problem is that you play Highlander, so you only run like 1 of this card, and so it doesn't really increase the consistency by much at all. So that's basically all the reveals. So let's talk a bit about Bermuda Triangle. So let's understand the current format a bit, right? The current format is that Gurgit is pretty much the definitive top deck, and then everything else is in a tier below it, like probably Angel Feather, Narukami, Rakumo, things like that, right? So, and then the rest. That's all we need to care about. Top tier, Gurgit, and second tier, you know, Luan, Rakumo, all that. So why is this important? So they unrestricted Murakumo and Aegablader and Doriana last restriction list. The idea behind Murakumo is that Murakumo can kind of pop off really quickly at turn 3, 1 turn quicker than Gurgit, and maybe that can sneak out some wins. And basically, it really hasn't really been panning out. We haven't been seeing much changes in the metagame. It's still pretty much the same. So what this means is that the unrestriction list probably didn't really do as much of an impact as Bushiroad would have liked. So in regards to Gurgit being the best deck, how do we actually beat a Gurgit? Well, you can never outscale a Gurgit after turn 4 or the second turn of grade 3 where they have 4 Excel circles set up. It's really hard to beat Gurgit, right? Because Gurgit just gets fat and you just can't do anything about it. They get 20k, they get like 1 billion attacks, you're just pretty much dead. And then after that, don't even talk about what happens after that. After that, they can just like 0 to 6 you extremely easy. For the mods like Gurgit, once they ride their Gurgit, they have a defensive option, which is in the Gurgit Counterblast, so it allows a bit more survivability against things like maybe the cross on second, then suddenly Gurgit has a CB1 that can probably guard an attack. So overall, that whole package is very, very strong. So the only really way to beat Gurgit then is to beat it fast or cripple it so hard on that turn 3 before they can really start doing damage. That is when you can probably beat Gurgit. Now, out of all the decks so far in Bermuda Triangle that can probably do this is Lupita. Now, I think if you've been looking at Twitter, you've been seeing some memes. I did post that meme where like Lupita Melody like bashes your face in for high numbers. And yes, it does. Lupita Melody, I think, is quite possibly one of the biggest contenders to be one of the best decks in the format. Would be tier 1 because it can just pop off quicker than Gurgit. If the opponent is not actively damage denying you, then your turn 3 can be very, very strong and pretty much ungunnable. And then if they do damage deny, you can kind of just sit there with huge melody columns anyway, and then just kind of wait till they want to try to kill you, and then you do a big counter attack and kill them. So that's basically how the idea works. Lupita Melody just hits really big numbers. Like, when you see those like 43k numbers, it's like the perfect field, like 4 Sonatas, 1 Caro. Of course, you're probably not going to get those kind of fields, but if you get something like, just if you think about it this way, right? If you go first against any opponent, you have a Sonata and a grade 2 Sonata. It's already hitting for like what, 30k and 33 with a force marker. So that's hitting over a 20k guard. That's 2 cards to guard for your opponents, and then anything extra melody just gets better. That's only with like 2 melodies, right? 2 melodies. And then if you get like 3 melodies, I think you pretty much have a really insanely strong turn that really just punishes your opponent. Getting like a Caro means that you can like boost with the Caro in the middle column, and that middle column hits big as well. The restands will just hit like a truck. And then if you do get the perfect kind of field, you can even go Force 2, and then just kind of deal the crazy amount of attacks. How you actually build a deck, just put all the melody stuff, melody support, and all the Lupita stuff, the Lupita support, and Melody has a new searcher now. Lupita also has no searcher. They do require soul, but that can be just don't go all ham in trying to get what you want. Maybe you brick. I think it's slightly less consistent than Gurgit, but in terms of beating Gurgit, you have to take risks. You have to take risks, and probably this kind of build is the best chance you have. The weakness of this deck is that it doesn't really get much hand compared to like other decks in Standard maybe, or it gets about the same, and it's not good. But the reality is that no matter how big your hand is, you're not going to be able to efficiently guard a turn 2 grade 3 Gurgit or a 4XL Gurgit unless you get like 2 damage triggers, right? Otherwise, they're just going to ham your face and you're dead. So, idea is to just win fast and beat things really quickly. Now, I did try other decks as well. Ange, I tried out. I think it's too slow. There's a nice build that's been floating around you run like Relenka, and I think it's like Falsida, where it's basically the cards that if they discard 2 copies of itself, it restands. So, and then it has like odd hit, get salvage or search for a copy of itself. Then Arj can kind of make like 2 force columns or 2 force a turn, and then she gets 10k power, which is okay. But I think that's too slow. You're not dealing crippling damage at turn 3, and yeah, so I don't think that's fast enough. We're basically looking for things that are fast enough. I think it's a solid tier 2 deck against a slower deck that doesn't scale as hard. I think it's fine. Other deck, I think what the other deck that I'm really keeping an eye on is something like is Plon, right? Plon feels like at first Plon looks too slow, but with enough soul charge, I think it might be able to grind enough. Like if you saw a lot of feeders in, you might grind enough defensives power, which forces which basically gives like taunt to basically every single melody card in your front row. So you're like someone has to actually actively attack into it. And if you do go first, you do get to a turn where like you make really big columns and you can kind of win like that. So I think there is a possibility there in Plon, but otherwise for the rest of the stuff, I don't think there is any really big combative thing against Gurgit. Of course, against like any other deck in tier 2, I think they're probably fine. Me, probably fine. I'm not really that interested in that. Highlander, I think is fun, but not really as consistent as you want it to be. So I think it's like somewhere in tier 2, lower tier 2. What are like the I can't really think of Prisms. I think Prism probably tier 2. Melody, just yeah, well it's Plon, so it's already covered. So yeah, apart from that, I think the rest of the deck is just either tier 2, and the things I didn't mention just kind of float around in whatever tier, right? They don't really matter. So that's basically it. I think that's basically Bermuda in a nutshell. If Lupita Melody is really strong, or if a more aggressive version or a more figured out version of Lupita is figured out, I think that has the highest chance of really doing real damage to Gurgit. Simply because, yeah, double 5 attacks at the turn you ride grade 3 is really strong, no grade 3 restrictions, and just able to get free cards is, yeah, really good. Plon is the X factor, I'm thinking. Looks slow, but I think it can be fast if you're lucky enough. And then the rest is just have fun with it, enjoy it. Tier 2, hang out with the Murakumos, the Angel Feathers. And I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's technically a great format if there wasn't Gurgit around. And if there is another tier 1 wrecking the format to challenge Gurgit, maybe that's a good thing, but probably more like it's a bad thing. More like a bad thing. Okay. So that's it from me. I will see you guys tomorrow, maybe, and catch you guys later. Bye.